If you're 60 years old, you likely have less than 1,000 weeks remaining of healthy active time. That's not a lot. So you want to make sure that you're taking full advantage of the youth of your senior years. Nobody dreams of a late retirement. We all dream of early retirement. But just because you have millions of dollars in the bank account doesn't mean that you have a good idea of what you want to do in this next chapter of your life. In fact, many people in your situation don't. But I really encourage you to spend the time now because you've won. And it would be a shame to look back in your 70s or early 80s and say, why didn't I take advantage of that? So here's some tips to help you with that transition. The first one is you still have plenty of time. I said 1,000 weeks, but when you think about that, it's 20 years. That is plenty of time. So I encourage you to invest in yourself. Maybe you've always enjoyed arts and crafts, and it's not how you've made your money, it's how you've relaxed, it's how you've connected with your friends, it's how you've expressed yourself creatively, and maybe you've thought, gee, it'd be nice to make crafts and spend more time doing that and sell them on Etsy. And you're really looking for passions that ignite you and excite you in how you want to spend your time. You don't need this home run in order to provide for your family. In your 50s and early 60s, it's one of the lowest risk times for you to do an entrepreneurial venture, right? If you start a hobby business and you do some crafts and you sell them on Etsy, and you know what, you're not as popular as you thought you would be and there's not as much business, who cares, right? It's okay. If you're enjoying this video, please do me a favor, hit the like button. Makes it easier for other people to find this video as well. And think about leaving a comment if you have a suggestion for a video that you'd like me to think about doing, or if you have a question for me, or just an observation from the video. I'd love to hear from you, and I promise I will reply. So think about leaving me a comment. The second tip that I can give you to really help you transition is take care of yourself. Take care of yourself from a health standpoint, right? When we're working, particularly if you're working for somebody else, they are setting our schedule. They are putting in the demands on our time, and we don't really control things as much as we can now. And I would encourage you to spend some of this extra free time that you have on your health. Think about cooking well, think about eating well, think about buying the right food, spending the time going to the grocery store, planning out meals. Your health, once your health is gone, boy, at our age, it's really hard to get it back. So do everything that you can to protect it, and eating well and also going to the gym is really important. I think flexibility is key. I think trying to maintain your muscle mass by lifting weights. You don't have to be the strongest person in the gym. You don't have to spend 2 hours a day there, but do what you can to keep your muscle mass. Do what you can to keep your cardio health in place on a treadmill or a stationary bicycle, doing aerobics or the Zumba classes, whatever gets your heartbeat going and sparks interest in your heart. The other thing that I'll share with you is it's highly likely once you transition into your new life, you're going to realize how much stress that you're under today on a day-to-day basis. Many of us don't realize that, right? We've had the burden of paying off our mortgage, of saving money for our kids' college expenses. We've had a lot of burdens on our shoulders, and those weights get added slowly to our shoulders. And when we take them off, you become lighter in your step, and you really didn't realize how much stress that you were under. Another thing that I've seen people do that have really added a lot of joy to their transition is investing some of this additional time they have in relationships, building relationships with other people that are important in your life. Maybe it's an old friend from a long time ago that you really haven't spent enough time connecting with and building and investing in that relationship. Now you have the time. So maybe if they live far away, maybe, they're in Australia and it's an 18-hour flight to get to Australia and it's expensive. Boy, when you're working and you only get a week or two for a trip like that, that's not a lot of time. But now you can go. Now you can go and spend time there and not just visit your friend and reconnect and build that relationship up again. But once you're in Australia, you can do Southeast Asia, you can do New Zealand, you can do other areas. So the fact that it's 18 hours away is not as big of a hindrance as it might have been before. So taking the time to make new friends, but really building up those new friends. You have the time, you have activities, whether that's doing crafts or whether that's out road biking or however you make friends, it's going to be important to start making some new friends. And then also with your family, right? You might have aging parents that you haven't been able to spend as much time with. Now you have more time and you can do that. You might have adult kids that have grandkids, and maybe you can play a role that, frankly, you just couldn't have done before. And for many of us, travel is going to be kind of a spice of life. It's not going to be the main course, or it's not going to be the main course for a long period of time. For me personally, right now, I'm really enjoying working remotely from different countries and really having the time to enjoy cultures and do things other than, check off the main tourist attractions, the church that you have to see, the museum that you have to see, the landmark that you have to see, the natural wonder that's in the country, right? You can't go to Egypt and not see the pyramids. You can't go to Peru and not see Machu Picchu at least once. Actually, you can, but you probably want to do that anyways. But now you have time to enjoy the culture and the experience. I call it, now you have the opportunity to live like a local in a foreign country. I get a lot of joy from that, right? Spending time at cafes, reading a newspaper, reading a book, and striking up conversations with people, spending time with them so you can get a feel for what is it like to live in this country. So travel can be something that's really exciting and interesting. I would caution you, though, if you're planning on that being the main thing, to just be careful, because the novelty of that for many people wears off quickly. And for many people, they find it's a great spice to their normal routine, but it is not their new life. For some people, it will be, and that's great. And also, you can pursue adventures that maybe you weren't able to do when you were younger, right? Backpacking through Europe. You know what? In your 50s and 60s, as long as you're healthy, you can still do those things. You may not be able to tackle 20 miles a day. You might do 5 miles a day or 3 miles a day and stay in nicer Airbnbs as opposed to hostels, although hostels are great too, but you can still have those adventures. And then the final one is just charitable organizations. Looking at charitable organizations that you might have had an interest in, you might have participated in, you might have supported them in the past, and getting more involved and seeing if that's something that brings a lot of joy. But really the idea is to have this menu of ideas, and you have an idea of, gee, this is what I think is going to give me the greatest passion and help me transition into the next phase. And I'm going to start there, but realize if that's not it, that's okay. You've got other items on the list. And I think having people to share these experiences with, the relationships, the building new friends, that is a theme that carries through many of these other ideas. Until next time, I'm Azul Wells, reminding you to take full advantage of the youth of your senior years. You're only young once. Use this time wise.